Why Canaan? Canaan was a transportation hub between Egypt and Mesopotamia. It was the land of the Bible, generating more scholarship in archaeology than anywhere else of comparable size. Canaan was geographically diverse, but could be roughly divided into four major areas. The coastal plain on the Mediterranean had the best farmland. The hill country to the east was the home of the Israelites. Then the Jordan Rift Valley, with the lowest lake in the world, the Dead Sea, and Jericho. The Transjordan Plateau was east of the Jordan River. Trade routes crossed both the coastal plain and the Transjordan Plateau. The lowlanders of the coastal plain were farmers, growing traditional Fertile Crescent crops like wheat, barley, and peas. The Philistines, arriving uninvited during the 12th century BCE, relied on seafood, raising pigs and cereal crops. Highlanders were typically shepherds, raising sheep and goats. Cereals were grown in some fertile areas. The hillsides were productive for olives and grapes, leading to the successful production of olive oil and wine, shipped as far as Egypt and Assyria.
Archaeologists have been hard at work since the 18th century attempting to prove everything biblical. Recent archaeologists have been more skeptical, but they have found evidence that David was a real king and identifying about half of the post-Solomon kings from the non-biblical sources. In other words, real history, in the Bible at least, by around 1000 BCE.
Beginning around 1200 BCE, the major kingdoms in the eastern Mediterranean collapsed, probably because of some combination of invasion and drought. Soon the Bronze Age would be replaced by the Iron Age. Lowlanders fled to the highlands. The Philistines were sea people taking over the southern lowlands. By 1100 BCE, the Phoenicians were established in the northern lowlands, becoming shipbuilders and merchants across the Mediterranean. Egypt possibly first recognized the Hebrews, calling them Habaru.
Started with the forbidden fruit in the Garden of Eden and God's anger. Cain was the first farmer, and people were allowed to eat meat after the flood, but it had to be based on ritual kosher slaughter. The 7 species were described as special products of Israel. 2 were grains, wheat and barley, then grapes and olives, finally figs, pomegranates, and dates. Food was important for religious holidays like the Passover, which will be described in a later video. The Israelites mainly ate locally grown and regional foods, including barley bread, wine, olive oil, and locally grown vegetables. Sheep and goats were the main livestock and produced milk and meat, plus wool. Seafood would come from the Jordan River or the Mediterranean through trade.
Israelite food was like the rest of the Fertile Crescent, except what was forbidden. Animals chewing their cud with cloven feet were clean, including cattle, sheep, and goats. Those without cloven feet, forbidden. Pigs topped this list, but also horses and camels. Birds and fish were clean, but those not flying or swimming were not. Shellfish, mollusks, or ostriches. Fattened fowl, including ducks and geese, also fine. Both Judea and the northern kingdom were destined to fall as invaders from the north conquered much of the Fertile Crescent. Conquerors expected their vassal states to be submissive. Assyria conquered the northern kingdom and deported the elites, leaving Judea a vassal state.
The Temple of Jerusalem became the center for the worship of Yahweh. Babylon conquered Assyria, then Egypt. After revolting, Judea fell to the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar in 587 BCE. Jerusalem was destroyed. The elites were taken to the north into Babylonian captivity. The Persians under Cyrus defeated Babylon in 539 BCE. Then exiles returned to Judea and rebuilt the temple. The Hebrew Bible would be completed about this time. Destruction later followed, and the Jewish people were dispersed. Food was a key part of their cultural heritage. The Jewish state of Israel declared itself after World War II. We move on to another small Mediterranean state, Greece. The country had a long history and a small period of glory, classical Greece, known for philosophy and attempted democracy. Join us on Food, History, and Mystery as we discover the contributions of Greece toward civilization.